As the next expansion will have a major focus on dragons, it's a good time to recap dragon lore a little bit so that we go into the next expansion prepared. As such, today we will be looking at every dragonflight in World of Warcraft so far. We will divide this video into a few sections, talk a little bit about them and their stories, while also adding in some new information that came with Dragonflight. Sit back, relax, and let's take a look at every dragonflight in World of Warcraft. So first of all, we will be talking about the Ancestral Dragonflights. There are two of these that we know of, the Stone Dragons of Deepholm and the Storm Dragons of Skywall. Deepholm and Skywall are both elemental planes, for earth and air respectively. No one is actually sure how these types of dragons came to be, as they were never seen before the Cataclysm by anyone that we know of. It was only when Deathwing caused the elemental upheaval during Cataclysm that we got to meet these two dragonflights. The reason why I call them the Ancestral Dragonflights is because they share common ancestry and, depending on their age, might even be the actual ancestors of proto-dragons and, by that same token, the dragons of Azeroth. They are much older than proto-dragons of Azeroth and seem to have inferior intelligence to the dragons of Azeroth, as they don't seem to be able to communicate through language, so they don't speak Draconic at all, from what we've seen of them at least. The Storm Dragons of Skywall are not to be confused with the Storm Dragons of Stormheim that we met in Legion, and about which we will talk about in a little bit. Next up on the list are the 5 Azerothian Dragonflights. A long time ago there used to be proto-dragons of every color in the spectrum flying throughout the skies of Azeroth. They descended from the elementals who avoided capture during the Ordering of Azeroth. If you don't know, the elementals were raging on Azeroth, so the Titans locked them up in their prisons called the Elemental Planes. However, those elementals that avoided capture remained on Azeroth, and from them came to be the proto-dragons we know and love today. However, one of these proto-dragons presented a massive threat to all dragonkind, Galakrond. He was described as a gigantic proto-dragon, bigger than any to ever exist. His hunger was immense and he would feast on other proto-dragons, plummeting the numbers of proto-dragons in the world. That's why the majority of proto-dragons left were the 5 colors we know of today. However, some others remained, but throughout the ages they went extinct, which is why today, when you look at the dragons, you mostly see red, green, bronze, blue and black. The proto-dragons on primordial Azeroth would unite and would manage to defeat Galakrond with the help of Titan Keeper Tyr. Tyr would then, with the support of most other Titan Keepers of Azeroth, ask the Titans to bless these proto-dragons, turning them into dragons we know today. Not all of them though, some dragons remained proto-dragons, while some other proto-dragons were still very loyal to their elemental ancestry, but more on that later. With the blessings of the Titans, the 5 Azerothian Dragonflights came to prominence, with their leaders being known as the Dragon Aspects. Each of the 5 would defend a specific domain of Azeroth. The Red Dragonflight, led by Alexstrasza, was blessed by Eonar and was tasked with protecting life on Azeroth. The Green Dragonflight, led by Ysera, was also blessed by Eonar and were tasked with keeping watch over everything natural from a place called the Emerald Dream. The Bronze Dragonflight, led by Nosdormu and blessed by the leader of the Pantheon of Order, Aman'thul, was tasked with safeguarding time. The Blue Dragonflight, led by Malygos and blessed by Norgannon, was tasked with safeguarding magic and ley lines of Azeroth. And lastly, the Black Dragonflight, led by Neldarion, was blessed by Khazgoroth and was tasked with safeguarding the earth of Azeroth. A banality of a task at first, it may seem, until you remember that deep below the crust of Azeroth lie the old gods in their prisons. All 5 of these dragonflights had long histories after the battle against Galakrond, and many of them suffered huge losses. During the War of the Ancients, Neldarion, now known as Deathwing, created a powerful artifact known as the Demon Soul, in order to defeat both the Burning Legion, but also anyone on Azeroth who would dare defy him. He was maddened by the old gods he was in charge of guarding. His plans failed, but almost the entire Black Dragonflight fell to corruption. During the Second War, he would give the demon soul to an orc clan known as the Dragonmaw, who would then use it to enslave the Red Dragonflight, including Alexstrasza. They tortured her immensely and forced her to lay eggs that would later be used in battles against the Alliance. The Red Dragonflight was ultimately freed, but with heavy casualties. The Blue Dragonflight's leader Malygos would, over the years, fall into madness, and he would declare that magic was not safe in the hands of mortals and was trying to cut them off from Azeroth's magical ley lines. Thus, the Nexus War began during Wrath of the Lich King, which culminated with Malygos' death. The Blue Dragonflight leadership was succeeded by Kalecgos. Deathwing would later return, causing the Cataclysm. Many black dragons would die during the battles against Deathwing, including Deathwing himself. The survivors of the Black Dragonflight on Azeroth would further be cut down by Wrathion, one of the last uncorrupted black dragons, who would hunt many black dragons down. It's unclear if he knows that there are black dragons on Outland as well, but those on Outland seem to be doing fine right now and are led by a dragon known as Sabellian. The Emerald Nightmare, a version of the Emerald Dream corrupted by the powers of the Void, would start to spread throughout the dream, even corrupting many dragons. The fighting against the Nightmare would last for many years, with even Ysera falling into corruption and having to be killed in battle. She was succeeded by her daughter Merithra. The Bronze Dragonflight would face troubles as well, as they would constantly be on the lookout for the threat that the mysterious Infinite Dragonflight presented, only for it to later turn out to be the corrupted version of the Bronze Dragonflight, led by maddened Nosdormu from a possible future. The dragon aspects gave up on their powers at the end of Cataclysm, declaring that the Age of Mortals was about to begin. However, this is seemingly going to get reversed in Dragonflight. We just have to wait and see. There is more history to the 5 Azerothian Dragonflights, which we will now explore through the derivative Dragonflights. The Netherwing Dragonflight came to be after the destruction of Draenor. During the Second War, Deathwing would hide black dragon eggs on Draenor. What he didn't see coming was that Draenor was going to blow into pieces by the portal storm created by Ner'zhul. These massive portal energies irradiated the black dragon eggs hidden on Draenor, and then the whelps that would be hatched from these eggs would not turn out to be your regular old black dragons. Instead, they turned out to be a type of ethereal dragon. Some still have their sanity, but by that same token, some were born feral. The Twilight Dragonflight was an experiment by the black dragon Cyntaria, the prime consort of Deathwing. She would take dragon eggs from other dragonflights and would use all sorts of artifacts on them, but also the powers of the Netherwing Dragonflight, in order to create a new powerful dragonflight. These Twilight Dragons are shown to be kind of magic vampires, being able to feed on all sorts of magic. They were major antagonists in multiple expansions, but there are more of them still out there. The Chromatic Dragonflight is another experiment by the Black Dragonflight, this time by Nefarian, Deathwing's son, who tried to fuse the blood of multiple dragonflights into single dragons. Many of these experiments failed miserably, but those that succeeded had horrifying results. Most notable experiment is Chromatus, a 5-headed chromatic dragon with 1 head for each of the 5 Azerothian dragonflights. He was so powerful that he literally could not be killed. As such, his body remains in an arcane prison guarded by Kalecgos and the Blue Dragonflight. Considering he is still alive, it is very possible that he will make a big return in Dragonflight. There are other surviving members of the Chromatic Dragonflight, but they are very rare. Most recent sighting was during Battle for Azeroth, where there is a chance encounter with a lone chromatic dragon, if you're lucky, while exploring island expeditions. The Nightmare Dragonflight are the green dragons corrupted by void powers. Many green dragons had to be put down because of their fall to corruption, including Ysera. They are seemingly defeated, though we see some hints of the void still remaining in the Emerald Dream, so it's too early to say. There is a good chance we'll be seeing them again really soon. The Infinite Dragonflight consists of corrupted bronze dragons. Their motives are not really clear yet, but their purpose seems to be ruining the one true timeline for some reason. For those that don't know, time in World of Warcraft consists of one true timeline, while all other alternative timelines are just echoes that dissipate if not interacted with for a while by someone from the main timeline. The leader of the Infinite Dragonflight was Murozond, who is a maddened Nosdormu from a possible future where Deathwing won. However, he was defeated by the adventurers of Azeroth. After his passing, they were led by Kairos Dormu, but after his death, it's not clear who is the leader of the Infinite Dragonflight right now. The Plagued Dragonflight were also experiments, this time by the Cult of the Damned. They were responsible with infusing dragon eggs and dragons with the plague of undeath, creating these ghastly entities in service of the Lich King. An honorable mention to the list of derivative dragonflights that I really couldn't fit with any of these are the Frostworms, Ember worms, Magmawyrms, and Fell dragons. The Frostworms are the blue dragons reanimated by the Scourge, Emberworm are red dragons reanimated by the Scourge, though in Karazhan we meet one who used to be a blue dragon, so not sure what's up with that, and the Magmawyrms are the black dragons reanimated by the Scourge. And lastly, the Fell dragons are dragons who demon blood came in contact with. Next on our agenda are the Cosmic Dragonflights, as I like to call them. We don't know how many of them there are exactly, but we know of 2. But even that is a mystery because for one of those we don't even have a name. I call them the Cosmic Dragonflights because they are seemingly tied to the cosmic realms of existence. The first ones are the Veilwing, dragons native to Ardenweald in Shadowlands. They seem to be very common in Ardenweald and you can often find them flying around the forest. The other dragonflight is the one we will call the Elunaria dragonflight, and these are the green dragons that we see in Elunaria when we visit that world during the raid on Antorus. They are non-interactable, so we don't really know anything about them. Elun is a member of the Pantheon of Life, which means that Elunaria is probably a realm in the realms of life. Having dragons on both realms of life and death makes sense, as seen on the new cosmology chart where we can see that there are rune stags, for example, in the realms of life as well as in the Shadowlands. Earlier I said that not all proto-dragons were happy with the dragon aspect's decision to side with the Titans, seemingly betraying their ancestry by siding with the ancestral enemy of the elementals. These proto-dragons also believed in draconic supremacy and considered themselves followers of Galakrond. They infused themselves with the powers of the elementals and would call themselves the Primalists. They are led by 4 leaders, known as the Primal Incarnates. These 4 leaders lead the 4 primal dragonflights, who imbued themselves with the powers of fire, water, earth, and air. A war erupted between the Primalists and the dragon aspects, which resulted in the Primalists and their leaders being imprisoned on the Dragon Isles. The prison of the Primal Incarnates will be the first raid of Dragonflight, so it will be interesting to see how their lore turns out. And lastly, we're gonna take a look at 2 dragonflights that I couldn't seem to fit anywhere else on this list. First off, the Storm Dragons on Stormheim, not to be confused with those in Skywall. Odin describes them as being born of the gods. Their origins are unclear. They seem to be descended from the Storm Dragons of Skywall, but Odin says that they are born from the gods, so maybe they have some Titanic origins as well. They are divided into 2 broods, one loyal to the Titan Keepers, while the other brood believes that they will surpass even the Titan Keepers. Kind of like a mini fight between the dragon aspects loyal to the Titans and the Primalists loyal to the Elementals. The other dragonflight that doesn't seem to fit anywhere else on this list and might not even be a dragonflight are the Albino dragons. It's not certain if they are a separate dragonflight or if they belong to one of the 5 dragonflights and have an albino gene, but an institution called Draconic Native Association couldn't determine if they are related to a known dragonflight, so the albinos might be a hidden dragonflight that survived the ages, hidden somewhere, or maybe they are related to one of the 5 dragonflights. We don't know yet, but we might see more of them in Dragonflight. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any question about any of these dragonflights, feel free to ask it in the comment section below. If you liked the video, leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching again, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.